All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming back and clicking on today's video. I'm so excited to have Kelly Hogan today with me. Now, we talked, I think it was the first time back in February, and it was before Kelly had really started going on Instagram, had really started her own YouTube channel, which I will definitely link below this video. But it's been so cool since the first time we talked. I feel like I've gotten to know you just from kind of following you and watching your videos, like so much more since the first time we chatted. So yeah, I'm just excited to talk today and kind of just give some girl carnivore talk and staying positive, you know?
The last time you contacted me, well, the first time about doing an interview, we did not know each other. You had reached out to say, hi, I'm Sarah, because you're right. I've been on Facebook for the past 10 years. It's not that I haven't been, people are like, wow, good for you for coming out about carnivore. And I'm like, well, this isn't new. It's just I'm on some different platforms these days. For me, it's really been all Facebook groups every day, day in and out, and then trying to do some actual writing, blogging up until this year. And this year I decided to try to reach more a little to Instagram, and that's how I met you. And then we had our chat, and it was so good, and we've kept in touch ever since. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And, you know, one of the reasons I just wanted to bring you back today was that the thing I admire, I admire so many things about you, Kelly, but one of the things I really admire about you is that you just have this amazing positive attitude and kindness and compassion for people. And I just kind of want to be like, I want to pick your brain and and talk about that, because it's easy to get pulled down into negativity when you're putting yourself out there. You're kind of almost putting a target on your back saying, I eat an all meat diet, and, you know, getting negative comments, getting people attacking you, but you still every day are putting out like so much love and positivity. And I kind of just want to be like, what's your secret to that?
That's all very kind of you to say. And I have to say that part of it comes from typically when I go to reply to something, you are seeing like the 50th edit of what I really wanted to say. Because sometimes my gut reaction is, you know, leave me alone, let me eat what I want to eat, screw you. No, that's what our gut reaction to being attacked, well, at least for me, for my own diet is sometimes not good. But I've never seen anybody get won over by that. Nobody is ever like, wow, she attacked so super hard. I love that chick. I want to be like her. So I do try to at least, I like to encourage other people, even whether it's vegan or anything that's completely different from me. I try to show respect to them in the same way that I would also like to be respected. And I think if we could all do that, even if I completely disagree with them, and just say, look, I wish you the absolute best possible health and happiness, however you get there. And I would love for people, of course, to return that same favor to me. Now, when it comes to carnivore versus vegan, I also have to recognize that it's easy for me to say that in this argument, because they are not doing anything wrong in my eyes as far as morally wrong. Maybe if they're feeding their kids completely vegan, I could argue that point. But as far as me caring what other people eat, I don't care. The dog they have in this fight is, in their minds, legitimately, I am immoral for eating animals. So I try to talk it, and I know that you did not specifically say in talking to vegetarians or vegans, but you know, as a carnivore, that is a lot of where the the dissonance online comes. You know, it makes sense that that's where the argument mostly lies.
Yeah.
So I try to remember that in their eyes, I am committing harm. I am doing something wrong. And so if I were to have a conversation, say with a murderer, And I would come at that as far as like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to this person as an immoral bad person, right? That's how I would come to it. And they're looking at me the same way. Now, is that correct? I do not think so at all. Not at all. But, to try to empathize with what the other person is seeing in you from the get-go, the only thing that would happen if I were to become an attacker and be hostile towards them is it's going to just confirm that I am a bad person. When in truth, I'm just flat out delightful, Sarah.
Well, I think so. I really do.
The truth is that I do eat other animals because as a human, I do value human life over animal life, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I sometimes get shamed for being a speciesist and putting certain species above others, and I completely own that. I do. I feel like I truly believe that humans have greater value than animals, and that in order for me to have good health, I've tried it other ways, and I know you have too. I live my best, most healthy life and am most productive on this earth when I eat animals. And and so my message every day is to partly try to convey that and make it more accessible for people. I like this way of living to be accessible. I like for people to see that really nice, normal people live and eat this way every day and have been for years. Decades and centuries even. Thousands of years perhaps. Right. And then for also people who completely disagree with this way of life, for them to at least be able to think, okay, I might not agree with how this woman eats, but she does seem to at least be a loving, decent human. And if I could just bare minimum get people to see that about a long-time carnivore, that's maybe the best I can hope for.
Yeah, I agree. And, that's why I love what you're doing. And I feel like I had heard you say on podcasts in the past that you've gotten attacks, threatening your family and your children. And that's terrifying.
Yes.
Yet you have continued to put yourself out there. People are like, oh, she's only been on Instagram for a little bit. You've been putting yourself out there the whole time. You've had a blog. Yeah. It's just recently that you've been on Instagram and YouTube. So, how did you handle that when you kind of got those types of threats and attacks?
Yes. So there have been quite a few. I'll tell you that the very lowest moment for me, there was an article that came out. There were two about the same time. One was the Daily Mail, and it was from several years ago. And I agreed to do it because, and I knew flat out they put a spin frequently to sensationalize things. That's what they do. Yeah. But I knew they also get a lot of views, a lot of reads, a lot of eyes see the Daily Mail. And at that point, carnivore was not being talked about loudly. There was not, there weren't the bakers of the world shouting it at that point. I'm so thankful for them now because I felt at that point a little bit alone other than just my Facebook friends. So I agreed to do it kind of hesitantly, and it was as bad, if not worse, than I expected. It was written basically as in, this woman eats only meat and thinks that you can actually get healthy this way and thinks that's actually why she fixed her infertility. And here are some doctors to tell you why this is crazy. And that was the article. And if anyone wants to find it, search Daily Mail Kelly Hogan beef. You'll find it right away. And you'll see it was pretty not nice. And some of my quotes were in there though. And so there was truth in it. And I did get a lot of feedback from people who said, I know that article wasn't great, but I'm actually kind of curious. And it got, at my Facebook page that I help admin, it's not really my page, it's Charles Washington's page. Membership went through the roof after that.
Wow.
Also my hate mail, as in, I can't believe you're actually telling people that they should eat this way. Do you know how many people will die of heart disease because of you? And it was like, oh, that's hard to hear. I don't care how happy and positive you are. You don't want people telling you that you're killing other humans.
Yeah.
The message. And even though I disagreed with what they were saying, you feel it when people say that. It hurts.
Yeah.
So I mostly did stick to Facebook groups where people were there purely to ask about carnivore. For the next maybe 2 years. It was that article and a Good Housekeeping article, which was not as bad, but was also written kind of like, wow, this woman is doing it really different, and doctors say you shouldn't do this, but here's what's happening. And the women who read that magazine, whoa, they were very vocal to me about how irresponsible this diet is. It was pretty ugly. So I'd say probably for about 2 years, I just stuck to Facebook in my own group where people had asked to join, and so I knew they were at least open to it. Also at that point was when I had really little kids. My kids now are 9, 7, and 4, but a few years ago I had my hands full. So that was enough for me. And having people write to say that because my kids eat a meat-based diet and that they are not allowed to have candy, they're also not asking for it because they don't eat it. They're not addicts. But because I said something about my kids not eating candy, I was literally getting people who said social services need to be called.
That's terrifying. That's kind of where I draw the line with people. Anytime I make a video and talk about my daughter, I always say, please no unsolicited advice. And I kind of, try to ask people to be kind in the comments, and they usually are. Yeah. But I think it's also because my reach is not as big. The Daily Mail has contacted me in the past, and I flat out said no, because I just know I mean, to handle that kind of feedback would be really difficult for me. So I have so much admiration for you for continuing to put yourself out there and just stay positive. And one of the things that you have started saying now, which I absolutely love, is save the humans.
Yes.
And, will you talk about that a little bit? Just going to your local Walmart and just kind of what you see and your thinking around this whole thing.
Yes. And while I do that, I'm going to take off this jingling because I just realized, listen, when you're editing or not, that's going to drive you crazy. So we'll get rid of that. All right. So I live in North Carolina, and not a very wealthy part of North Carolina. It's not too far from Charlotte, so there's plenty of wealth within an hour, but our town does not even qualify us for a Target. So when I do go to Walmart, I would say that people over age 60, a very large percentage of them are on the rascal scooters just to get their grocery trip done. And it is not because I would say that the primary reason, just based on a visual, is obesity. These folks they're not healthy. They're not well. They cannot make it through pushing a cart through a grocery trip, and it breaks my heart. So let's see, 15 years ago, I weighed 262 pounds, and I was hobbling because I had boils, and I had cellulitis in my legs, and cellulitis, trying to walk with that. If I was grocery shopping, I would have needed a rascal scooter too. I mean, and I was 25. So I can't imagine if I had stayed on that same path I was on by age 65, I'm sure I would have needed one too. So that's what I see every day when I go out. And so when I hear people putting meat down as far as a meat-based diet, and whether it's because they want to save the animals or the environment, whatever they're trying to save, I try to encourage people, if that's your passion, if you feel like you are on this earth to save the animals, I'm not going to try to stop you from that. You share your message as much as you want to. And if you feel like you are here to save the rainforest or the sea turtles or the soil, that's why you are here. I am not going to try to stop you. But that's not where my heart is. My heart is for these humans who have no idea what the actual problem is in their diet any more than I did before my doctor told me it's the carbs. I thought it was the fat. I thought it was the calories. I thought it was my lack of loving to exercise, even though I did actually I actually exercised more back then because I thought that was the key. I had no idea. And so I just feel for them, and I want to spread the word. Eat the meat, save the humans. And if other people's message differs, I'm not here to stop their message. There's room for people to save a sea turtle. There's room for me to try to save the humans. And I just think that we are all here for a reason. And if we try to focus on what our passion is, I think therein lies part of the reason for happiness and positivity, is that my goal is not to stop you or you or you. It is just for me to stay in touch with what I think is important, and to try to just keep putting that out into the world as much as I can. And to also focus on the things that are in the room with me. You've asked me, how do you stay positive? The things that are happening are not sometimes really happening. It's emails from people I've never met. It's feeling hate from people who they've hit send and they've moved on, right? They're done. They got their anger out, and now they're off eating with their dinner while I could be sitting here fuming for the rest of the day. Or you just have to focus and ground yourself with what is in the room. And what's in the room typically is 3 children, my cute dog, my sexy husband, a house, meat on my plate, a healthy body. Like, this is what's in the room. And if I can just keep my focus on what's really happening and not this, because this does matter. Lives are being saved by, I truly believe that, by what you and Laura and Judy and Dr. Barry and Dr. Baker, by what we do on here. This matters. But the negativity that comes from it, you can just turn it off and focus on what's in the room. Now, there are people who have, when I talk about positivity and staying happy, my caveat for that is the stuff in my real world is good. Yeah. It's not that hard for me to stay positive. I've got it made in the shade. Even when this is projecting craziness, it has an off button. The folks out there who are dealing with bodies that are completely inflamed, I remember what it's like to try to stay happy and positive while you've got cellulitis, obesity, your blood sugar is up and down. You can't overcome some of that with a good attitude, right? Like, your body is going to fight you every step of the way. But if you start with a well-fed body and everything, hormonally is in check, but then also I'm blessed to have a house. If you're out there and you don't have a house, or you don't have a nice husband, or you want children and you don't, I want to fully acknowledge that the circumstances you are actually dealing with are going to influence your level of happiness that day. So yes, I can come on Instagram with a healthy body and sing with a burger patty every day, knowing that I've got a good situation. Yeah. If people don't have a good situation, I feel like bare minimum, you can take control of what's happening in your own body. Yes. Get rid of that carbs and sugars. Get some fatty meat in there, help things to balance and level out, get the addiction out. There are things you can control, even though there are other things you just can't. And there, I think, is our best chance for happiness. Yeah. Things you can control is getting out and getting some sunshine, trying to get some physical touch, whether it's with your stupid Chewini or with your man, or with your kids. Some physical touch, I think, can help. For a lot of people, either taking some quiet time for meditation or gratitude, prayer, reflection. There are things we can control. But I know that there are people who might watch and say, well, easy for her to be happy because you've got a lot of things going. Yep, I do. But it's also what we focus on.
So hard for what you have, Kelly. I mean, from where you were, that's, people, I'll link the interview we did before, where you really go into depth about your health and how bad it was and how miserable you were. Right. And then even after you lost the weight, you wanted so badly to be a mother and to have children, and you couldn't, and it's like now what you're doing is like you're sharing this stuff because you were in a place where you were miserable and unhappy, and you've created this life that you have now, and it's beautiful, and you're sharing it with people to hopefully allow them to know that they can feel better. You know, they can have good health, and it doesn't have to be, you know, obesity is not set in stone, disease is not set in stone, infertility is not set in stone for a large amount of people. And so, you know, I appreciate everything that you're saying and everything that you do. I really do.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. So, okay, this is a little off topic, but this is something you told me a couple months ago that I was like, what? So, Kelly, you are actually a yoga teacher also, right?
Yes, I was. So, oh gosh, this was probably 12 or 11 to 12 years ago. I had really already lost a lot of weight through almost carnivore. All right. I did lose a lot of weight before giving up the very last of the diet soda. I say that I've been carnivore since 2009 because that's when I gave up the last of the diet sodas and just some sugar-free junk. But I was mostly carnivore for 5 years before that. And I lost a lot of weight during that time. And I did get into yoga. I started taking some yoga classes at a little gym that was just for ladies near my house. And then I went on and got yoga certified because I loved it, and they needed a yoga teacher. And it was a lot of fun. I would like to get back to that. Sometimes at my house, we turn on like a yoga YouTube channel, and me and the kids will get down on the floor, or I'll watch TV while doing a few poses. But I do miss being more committed to that.
I love it. I was shocked. I was so excited to find out she is actually a carnivore yogi also.
Yeah, thank you. Even if I'm a little out of practice carnivore yogi.
It's fine. It's totally fine. Well, Kelly, what's kind of coming next for you? What are you working on right now? Just in life.
Well, I do still have a day job. I am a public school teacher, and I go back to school on Monday. So I've got some teacher work days right now. I will be teaching 24 classes per week in person. And then I will also be teaching. Some of my students have opted to go virtual. They had the option of either in person or virtual. So I have lessons that I will be teaching to them as well. So I am going to be rather busy. I am doing the YouTube thing. I started that in January this year. And I have some videos right now on my laptop that I'm trying to edit. I've got an interview with Dr. Baker that I have not put out, and an interview with Dr. Sivas that I haven't put out. And that is such a passion of mine, to just get on and talk carnivore with people like yourself and people like them, and just try to put it out there for people as a free resource. I just think it is amazing. Nobody has to pay a dime. You might have to sit through an ad once in a while. That's it. But it's free. And then being on Instagram, like I say, every day is just a reminder that there are people doing this who are alive and happy and healthy, who have been doing it a long time. And we don't have to do crazy protocols to make it work. I know that there are some people who might need some more crazy protocols, but I like, balance, right? Yeah. I like there to be balance between some people. I have no problem with them saying, you know what? I am thriving while I eat the most expensive meat out there, right? And I'm thriving while I take all of the supplements and while I eat every part of the cow. But hey, balance. Then there's me.
Yeah.
I want people to see, there's also people out there who are thriving while they basically eat straight up burger patties every day and don't take anything, and they don't really give this much thought. It's like breathing, and it's cheap and it's easy, and she's been doing it a long time. So maybe somewhere between those two kind of extremes, somebody can find carnivore that works for them. There are tons of carnivores that celebrate fasting and then balance. Yeah. There's carnivores like us where it just doesn't work. Right. That doesn't mean that it's me saying the only way to do carnivore is to eat McDonald's patties and never fast. It's me saying, look, this side is out here, and there's this way too. Now we have a spectrum. Find what works for you. But if all we ever hear is one side or the other, I don't want everybody saying exactly my side. That leaves zero room for a spectrum for anyone else. Right. But I do like the fact that people can see that a wide variety of carnivore can work for many different people. Be as bougie or as cheap as you want to be. Eat as often as you need to. I still don't go around snacking all day, but I still eat twice a day. And if you need to eat twice a week in order to feel good, go ahead. No harm, no shame from me. I do like having that same respect from other people, but I like there to just be balance in the carnivore world for people to choose.
Yeah, and I love that you're saying all this, and I think that you and I do things totally differently, and that's okay. It's kind of like people, I've gotten comments, well, what about Kelly Hogan? Kelly Hogan, this, that. I'm like, I love Kelly Hogan. Almost expecting me to like speak out against what you're doing or the way that you do things. I think people love that little drama, and I'm like, no, like she's doing what works for her. I have all the love and respect for her. She's trying to help people. That's what she's trying to do, is help people and encourage people. And, I was listening to a podcast that Sean Baker was on the other day. I think it was Carnivore Cast. And he's like, what we're doing right now is just all of us sharing and all of us putting out what works, what doesn't work. And I think that the more of us that can share and put that information out there, the more people are going to get helped, and they're going to stop, like for me, stop trying to shove veggies down my throat and wonder why I'm bloated and having to go to the bathroom 30 times a day and feeling like crap. It's like presenting another way,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see daily what you eat, and what's on your plate almost always looks different from what's on my plate in a way, but it's always animal. Like we can, just like in this world, we can go through looking for every single thing that's negative and find it, or every single thing that's positive, you'll find it. I could look for everything different about you and I and make a list. I mean, we could. Or every single day when I look on even the most different carnivores, I'm going to find a whole list of things we have in common. I'm going to have more in common with you on our most diverse day than I will most 99% of nutritionists out there. All right? We have so much in common. So if we keep looking for those things, and I know there are times for disagreements, because there are times when we legit want to hash out something that needs hashing out.
Right.
But for the most part, we have a lot to look for that overlaps. And I got nothing but love for you, Sarah.
Same. Yeah. And I just, that's the other reason I wanted to bring you on here, because I have kind of spoken out and said I have had to change things and do things a certain way. And I wanted to show I have utmost love and respect for people like you. Lisa's going to be coming on later on this month. And just the people that have been doing this and paved the way for us, because literally when I decided to do carnivore, I did a Google search for Kelly Hogan and just try to listen to like every podcast, every video, everything I could find that you had put out there, because I was like, here's a woman who's my age. We're both 41. We're both in the South, and we both grew up in that fat-free era of like brainwashed of like eating fat is going to kill you, eating meat is going to kill you. And I just related to you so much. And like your voice was just one of the biggest things that made me start doing this. And my life has been forever changed. Health problems that doctors are like, you're just going to have to take medication for this forever. You're just going to have to deal with this problem forever. That stuff's gone. It's like a distant memory. And it was like so painful at the time. I was going through a lot of those health challenges, and now it's like not even a thing. So yeah, it's just so awesome now that we get to connect in this way, because it's like, I mean, it's just so cool. So
it's so cool. Yeah, and I love that you invited me here to talk on this topic. And honestly, I just have so much respect for what you put out there every day. Anytime you want to call and chat with me, I would love to, because you're fabulous. And I hope you just keep putting everything, your real experiences, out into the world. I think that's really all we can ask for people, is to just keep trying for their own health, and then to keep being honest. And then if possible, to just do it in a kind way, in a respectful way.
yes.
And I think that is typically possible. I really do.
I think so too. Yay. Well, thank you so much for this chat. I'm going to include your YouTube channel, your Instagram, and all, all the stuff, the interview we did earlier this year, so everyone can find you. And y'all need to go subscribe to Kelly's channel immediately.
Yeah,
And
thanks. I appreciate that.
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks again for coming on today, Kelly.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.